Sorry about that. We're back. Everything is good to go now. But welcome to another OU Insider Under the Visor YouTube Live, powered by Olipop. Again, Parker, take it away.
Yeah, look, every so often we have technical difficulties. We're gonna get our stream equipment updated to bring you guys a cleaner product week in and week out. So don't worry, we're a step ahead of you on that. But Olipop, folks, is our title sponsor, and we're very pleased to partner with them. I'm drinking ginger ale tonight in the traditional 12-ounce can. However, two of their 16 flavors, lemon, lime, and tropical punch, are now available in a 7.5-ounce mini can. So if you can't handle a full one of these, I know my wife is one of these people. She gets about halfway through and she's tapping out. Guess what? You can try a mini can of Olipop's delicious, bubbly goodness. Never more than 5 grams of sugar, always 9 grams of fiber, prebiotics to enhance digestive health. Folks, you can still drink soda and not feel terrible about what it's doing to your body with Olipop. Go to drinkolipop.com, use promo code CHAMPU20 for 20% off.
All right. I'm trying to find how I can share this, and I'm going to share it so that we can get everybody back on with this via X, YouTube, all that stuff that we're doing here. Anyways, Parker, football's back this week, and it doesn't really feel like it. I think it's been very odd in how, and I want to ask you this, good or bad that they got a bye week between the OU victory over Texas? Because I'm taking it, I think health-wise, great, perfect. But to me, all the outside noise was allowed 14 days to accumulate instead of a couple, because you have a game the very week after you have that type of victory, you move on. And don't get me wrong, I've talked to people within that program, and on Monday of the bye week, they were done with it. It was over. But they said I had this on multiple occasions within the team. Coaches, everybody was like, dude, but the media, the university athletic department media, everybody wants to still talk about Texas. And they said, we're done. We're done with it. We were moved on. We were done with it. But it keeps lagging, and things keeps being brought up by outside forces. And Venables touched on it quite a bit during the presser about blocking out the outside noise and just having a singular focus on what's the task at hand, going 1-0 every week and all that type of stuff. But even saying all that, there are some positives to the bye week. Lots of them, actually. Coaches got out to recruit, health, all that type of stuff. But in your opinion, best case scenario, worst case scenario, which one would you prefer, or do you prefer? Obviously, the team preferred to keep playing outside of the health part.
Yeah.
But in your mind, was it good, bad, or are you kind of indifferent with it all?
I don't know. I think there's a lot of things that, just based on how bizarre last season was at times, I think it's healthy to reserve judgment on, because you don't want to get out ahead of your skis. And it does feel like, in talking to folks around the program and just knowing the way that those folks operate, this is not a team that's going to let themselves get dragged down to a standard other than their own, based on the emotional aftermath of the Texas win, the opportunity to start coasting through the bye week. And so, look, I really want to see how this team comes out in response to not just the week off, but also the emotional high of that Texas victory starting to wear off as they get back into the grind of the season. They get back out on the field on Saturday and realize, oh, wait, like, and they do realize it, but to get out there practically playing football again and to officially put Texas in the rearview mirror for good, I feel like I know how this team is going to react, but I want to see it before I draw any conclusions, any sweeping conclusions moving forward. I think what we can say right now is that The only thing standing between Oklahoma and 12-0 is Oklahoma, because the 6 teams that they will play for the remainder of the season, they're not on Oklahoma's level from a talent perspective and from a chemistry perspective right now. So as long as the Sooners maintain their current trajectory, as long as they don't get in their own way, as long as they stick to the basic building blocks of what's gotten them to 6-0, they're going to be 7-0, and then they're going to be 8-0, and then they're going to be 9-0, so on and so forth until you get to 12-0, staring down what's probably going to be a rematch with Texas and Arlington.
Yeah. Yeah, this schedule plays out really well for Oklahoma. And I was on with Brendan Hedwig earlier, the UCF Knights Rivals publisher. Does a fantastic job. Was a really, really fun podcast. You can go check that out on any one of your podcast platforms and YouTube. But we were talking off air and even on air. This UCF game has a lot of interesting kind of storylines within it, with the connections of both programs, that notoriously that's not the case in a game like this. And number two, there's some recruiting storylines that go into this game. And that to me is even more interesting. Obviously, you have Stacey Gage that Oklahoma wanted, the running back that they backed off of, obviously. But for the longest time, he was viewed as a prime candidate to be in the 2024 class of Oklahoma. You have the Derek LeBlanc transfer, the late transfer, so he's having a red shirt right now and sit out a year. You have the fact that Lebby coached there for a few years. Dylan Gabriel obviously played there, and there's not a lot of love between Dylan Gabriel and UCF as far as the fan base, just kind of the vitriol that the fans around UCF have for Dylan Gabriel. And some of it stems from, just, I guess it was year one of NIL. They talked about it. And I guess he took advantage of that, and it was new to that part of country, and it was new to everybody at that point. And we heard about it even when remember Parker, that was like one of the main things people would say about him was, would he charge you for an interview and stuff like that? Because that was part of the shtick and everything of, look, if you're going to make your money off your brand, you're going to make your money off your brand all the way around. And he's obviously been a pillar of the community at Oklahoma. He's been nothing but a great human being. The university loves him, the athletic department, the football program, his teammates, the fans, the media. He's a favorite. Dylan Gabriel is a favorite. But there's that storyline. There's the Jeff Lebby storyline, when he should have been, in a lot of the fans' eyes, down there, the head coach of UCF. That's who they want him. The players went to bat for Lebby. Went to bat for him. And they went out and hired Gus Malzahn instead. So, again, there is a lot of storylines there. And then you have the Eddie Pierre-Louis, who will be visiting Oklahoma this weekend. UCF Oklahoma seem to be 1-2, right? Number 26 overall player in the country, offensive lineman. Parker, this is an interesting game just for that. And then you have, obviously, the potential letdown game for Oklahoma, as people want to call it, the post-Texas game. So there's a lot of stuff that you can really latch onto in this game and be like, you know what? It on paper, it doesn't look all that interesting until you know all the storylines. Those are interesting to me.
Yeah, and I mean, there are people in the chat going, well, it would help if you guys would stop talking about Texas. Listen, we're not the team, okay? I promise you, what we are saying has no bearing on what's happening in the Everest Training Center today or what's happening in the Switzer Center today. And we're going to continue to talk about Texas because that was a very memorable college football game. Okay? That is a game that will be talked about for weeks and months and years to come. Because what were we saying about that Texas game going in? Well, naturally, that's the game that often determines the trajectory of the remainder of the season for both of those teams. And it can be the springboard to something much, much greater if you come out with a victory, especially when there was so much at stake between two undefeated teams. That has the opportunity to be an enormous springboard for Oklahoma. And
Yeah.
so I think with UCF coming to town, Brandon, and I don't mean to minimize UCF. This team is certainly not minimizing UCF or Gus Malzahn. Brent Venables is used to facing Gus Malzahn. He's done it before. He knows what he's in for. And they are not sleepwalking into this matchup. But I will say, I think it helps heading into this game this weekend that UCF is arguably, not definitively, but arguably the easiest opponent that you will face the rest of the way. So I don't want to use the term tune-up. I'm kind of hesitant to, because that's still a decent football team. But it does feel like one of those games where Oklahoma's going to get the chance to experiment a little bit, where the Sooners are going to get the chance to continue to figure out what works and what doesn't. And there will be some of that. I know it's game 7, and some people are going to hear me say that, and they're going to go, well, what does Oklahoma need to figure out? There's still a lot of things the Sooners need to figure out. The backfield picture is one thing. How you replace Andrell Anthony is another thing. And we all have our theories about how that happens and who fills the void. But at the end of the day, we're not the ones making those calls. And what happens on Saturday between the guys that actually get on the field in Anthony's stead for the snaps that he would otherwise have consumed, that'll go a long way towards determining who draws the starts and who gets the lion's share of the targets in his absence the rest of the way. So there are some things for the Sooners to figure out here as you turn the page from the first half of the season to the second half. And I think you'll get an opportunity to do that this week against UCF in what is comparatively a lower stress environment and a lower stress type of football game, especially at home.
Yeah, I don't know that I would call them the easiest. I know you said arguably.
Yeah,
but
arguably.
Easiest opponent. I can't. There's something. I mean, they're going to have Bryce Plum back. He's going to be. If he's 85, 90% healthy, he creates a problem just because he's notoriously the type of quarterback that gives Venables defenses fits with his legs. And even without that, they have Timmy McClain as the other guy and we all watched that, remember? Well, you remember the play in the end zone where he runs around, just kind of backyard football, having fun. And notoriously, again, the guys with the legs, the guys that can run, have given Venables defenses fits of their. I will say this, and I said this on the podcast with Edwig, and I said, look, I fully acknowledge all that. I do. I fully acknowledge the issues that come with a quarterback that is mobile and can create on the fly. But back in the day, and even at Clemson, he notoriously had really good linebackers, but they weren't athletic like Stutzman and like Kanik and like Kip Lewis and Kobe McKenzie. Those guys can flat fly. Lewis Carter, like they can move. Deshaun McCullough. There's a lot better athletes as a whole, I think, across the board at linebacker than Venables has had in a long time. Just really twitchy, athletic guys that can cover in space and they make up ground. We saw it against, Texas. When Quinn Ewers tried to run, and he's been very successful running the ball this season. But when he got out in open space, he was met by number 7 on multiple occasions. So again, I don't know that I would call them the easiest. I think there's some things that they can do that can really hinder and I guess put Oklahoma on their heels a little bit. But at the same time, I think when you get talent for talent, they're playing in Norman, like you said. It's a really good game post Texas because of they're at home. You have all those storylines, the Dylan Gabriel stuff, to keep the team up a little bit higher than they notoriously probably would be, right? Coming out of Texas, because Dylan Gabriel's going to get in there and go on Friday night when they do the team meeting and go, guys, I want this. Like, I need this. Levy needs this. He was supposed to be the head coach at UCF. And there's your rally cry right there. Right there. And again, that keeps you focused. There was something, I guess, I was talking to a couple of people, Cincinnati and Tulsa. Dylan Gabriel had lost to both those teams at UCF, and he stood up both times, both Friday nights, team meetings, and said, I need this, and I want this bad. And everybody rallied around him. And they said he doesn't talk about it all week. He waits till the Friday night before the game to really dive into that storyline for him personally, and stands up and asks the team to help him out. And it's going to happen again. We all know it's going to happen this week. So I think you're right that it could be an easy opponent, one of the easiest opponents, but I don't think it's because on paper or on the field they're the easiest. I think it's because this team's going to come out guns a-blazing for Levy, for Gabriel, ready to, kind of mark their territory, say, welcome to the Big 12. These are the big dogs. You guys have been playing the cupcakes and struggling. You're playing the big boy now. And we'll see. We'll see. I think they're going to cover. And I think it's like 18.5 right now. So we'll see. I still think that, and it sounds really weird to say this right now, I still think TCU, that last home game, is going to be the easiest one, because I think it's going to be a night game. And I think Oklahoma is going for blood because, as Venable said, it's about to start the, what did he call it? The redemption tour. So we'll see how all that goes in the season.
Yeah, we got a couple super chats that I want to get to, including one from our guy, Martin Chase, former Oklahoma Sooner legend, Martin Chase. But first, want to give a quick shout out to a couple of our sponsors. This live stream is brought to you in part by Prize Picks, the largest independently owned daily fantasy sports platform in North America. The easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports is just you against the numbers. Instead of battling thousands of other players, including pros and sharks, you pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. Prize Picks is really simple to play. I can make my picks and submit my entry in less than 60 seconds. So, for instance, I'm looking at a really appealing matchup this weekend for my Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm probably throwing down an entry on Baker Mayfield to come up with more than his projected touchdown total. With the Prize Picks reboot policy, your entries stay in play even if one of your players gets injured. So for NFL games and college football top 25 matchups, if you have a player who exits the game in the first half and does not return in the second, that player is rebooted. Prize Picks is the only daily fantasy sports platform with injury insurance. So go to prizepicks.com/insider and use code INSIDER for a first deposit match up to $100. Again, prizepicks.com/insider. Use code INSIDER for a first deposit match up to $100. Prize Picks, daily fantasy sports made easy.
All right. This one, again, we got to pay our bills. It's going to be real quick here. This one's, people are going to laugh. It is what it is. But we are proud to be sponsored by Manscape. Gentlemen across the nation, I have an urgent message for you. This episode is brought to you by Manscape. The brand that took your balls to space is now looking to launch them into ultra sphere, introducing the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra, featuring a new cutting-edge design, next-generation dual skin-safe blade heads for a different shave. It's pretty much a spaceship to take your boys downstairs to the next level. Join myself and the 9 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with the brand new Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra by going to manscaped.com to get 20% off plus free shipping. Again, go to manscaped.com to get 20% off plus free shipping if you type in the promo code OU Insider. High tech for low places, Manscape. Again, I'm one of the lucky few that got to start this thing early. They sent it to us in the mail and it works. It's comfortable. You don't have to use water. Boys, it's different. It's different. You're clean. You feel good. You look good below the belt, and it's awesome. Again, go to manscaped.com to get 20% off plus free shipping. Again, manscaped.com to get 20% off plus free shipping by using the promo code OU Insider. Your balls have been through enough. It's time to go ultra with Manscaped.
Okay.
All right.
Straight to the super chats we go. Martin, man, thank you for the $5. Thank you for interacting on a regular basis. We greatly appreciate you and recognize your contributions to the Oklahoma Sooners. For those not familiar with Martin, I know we have a lot of listeners and viewers and members that are of the younger persuasion. Martin played defensive tackle at Oklahoma in the mid-90s, ended up having an 8-9 year NFL career with several different teams. So one of those guys that, again, if you're much younger than me, you probably aren't as familiar with his game, but very few, if any, were as talented as Martin in Oklahoma in the mid-90s. So
he was my favorite by far.
Martin wants to know, it's a two-part question. If we get all of our recruits, does this move us up? And are we offering kids in the 26 class in the Deep South? Well, you got one guy that's making a decision tomorrow between Oklahoma, Kansas, Florida State, and Kansas State. That would be 4-star athlete Michael Boganowski out of Junction City, Kansas. I mean, I'm going up there for the announcement, so take that for what you will. I don't make a practice of showing up to announcements when I have a real solid indication that a kid's committing somewhere else. So Oklahoma is in good shape there with Boganowski heading into decision day. That's the only one on the horizon that we know of right now. Grant Bricks, Eddie Pierre-Louis, those guys are kind of on indefinite timelines right now. They could drop soon. They could drop any day. But to answer your question, Martin, yeah, this is going to move Oklahoma up if they lock down Boganowski, Bricks, and Big Eddie. They're 5th right now in the Rivals rankings. We don't have a way to immediately crunch the numbers, but that would push them close to top 3 offhand. So, yes, that's going to move Oklahoma up. And then as far as offering kids in the 26 class in the Deep South, absolutely. Yeah, Oklahoma will be a presence there. And as they continue to establish deeper ties in the SEC and as they continue to win football games, not only are they going to be offering those kids, but they'll be able to be finalists for those kids and be legit contenders that get a swing at those types of kids on official visits.
I know this has nothing to do with the Deep South, but ironically, after that ad read, OU offered a 2025 athlete by the name of Trey McNutt out of Shaker Heights, Ohio today. So there's that. So anyways, hey, go Mongo's up next, by the way.
Yeah, $20 contribution from Mongo. He says Grant Bricks is sounding a lot like Dalton Wood. I hope it turns out differently for the former. Shout out to David Lacey.
Gosh. Yeah, do you remember Dalton Wood? I don't think you do.
Yes, I remember Dalton Wood. I am too young to know the full Dalton Wood story.
Well, let me dive into it for you real quickly for those that don't remember. From Mallister, really good athlete, committed to Oklahoma, but was very kind of, I guess, standoffish about committing to Oklahoma there for a while. Showed up to Oklahoma for a grand total of maybe a week and left. He was like, there and gone. And I think he got a girl pregnant. Somebody'd have to remind me in the chat exactly. But the guy was like, he became kind of a folklore because he had like this uber high ceiling and he just didn't love football. And you could tell he didn't love football by how he approached his recruiting. And that's where that analogy and comparison comes from. So, you know, It is. It was it was a weird deal. I think I'm trying to think of the other guy, Chris Patterson, back in the day. Um, I'm somebody said I heard Dalton Woods in jail now. Yikes. Um, Patterson was a linebacker out of junior college that was like considered the greatest linebacker to ever come out of junior college. Smoke Patterson, that's right. And he just never showed up. He was a 5-star. He was a 5-star. He was so good they gave him 5 stars, bro, in junior college. So this dude was otherworldly, and he was on the heels, I believe, of Torrance Marshall. So they would have went from Torrance Marshall to Smoke Patterson, and wow, who knows what would happen. Anyways, but they did end up with Chijoka on Yagetcha.
Somebody brought up Bryce Youngquist. He had a medical issue, didn't he?
Yeah, never going to dive into that. Everybody asked me that, and I will never dive into why that went down the way it did. Never, ever, ever. Because the kid doesn't deserve it, and it's nothing bad. It's just at the time we were asked not to say anything, and as time went on, nobody will talk about it still this day, and they won't talk about it because it was a very personal issue, like very, very personal issue with that kid. So I felt bad. Another kid that had a chance to be really, really special, and things just happen. And that I think those 3 that we just brought up are they epitomize the risk you take anytime you go recruiting a kid, because you never know with the 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21-year-old kid what's going to happen on a day-to-day basis. Because again, they may be legal by age. They may be able to go fight for our country. At the end of the day, maturity-wise, most of them are kids still.
Yeah, it's very true. Very true. I think that might be it as far as super chats go. I think we might be caught up.
Yeah, we got caught up with them. So okay. let's talk about bricks. It was brought up.
Yeah, let's
talk about bricks. Go for it.
I guess so. Yeah, I was up there Friday. Posted some notes at ouinsider.com. Members kind of got the inside scoop there on that whole situation. It was very interesting to see all the bricks predictions start dropping immediately after I made that trip, wasn't it, Brandon? So yeah, I think Oklahoma's in good shape. The eternal question with that kid is, okay, when does it actually happen? And I would love to be able to put a ballpark on it. And some of the conversations I had led me to believe that this thing could be done by the end of the month. But how many times have we tried to put a clock on the bricks recruitment, and here we are, and he's still uncommitted. So I know for that kid, the way that he's wired, it's going to be very, very difficult for him to pick up the phone and have conversations with the coaching staffs, especially the coaching staffs of the schools that will not get his commitment. Now, right. I was talking to the parent of a different recruit over the weekend. I thought they said something very, very astute and perceptive. They said, look, these coaches get told no a lot more than they get told yes. So end of the day, it's no skin off their noses. They're used to it. They're going to be able to handle it. And just because of how unfamiliar Bricks is with the whole recruiting game, and we've talked about that, the reality that he's such an outsider to all of this relative to so many kids and families that are in his same position that have been looking forward to this and gearing towards this for years and years of their lives. Bricks didn't even play football until his 8th grade year, I believe. Got the chance to talk to his dad. Awesome guy. Talked to his dad Friday at the game, and he was like, yeah, look, I never had any plans on my son being a big time football recruit. It just kind of happened. So yeah, there's not a ton of relative familiarity with everything that goes into this process with Grant in particular. And he and a lot of people in his circle have had to kind of learn on the fly. which is super refreshing. Like I've loved covering that recruitment, to be honest, just because it is such a change of pace from the brand of kid slash family that you typically deal with in the profession. But I just wonder, and all I can do is wonder when those conversations actually happen. But I do very much like where Oklahoma sits in that race.
Well, I agree. I put in the Futurecast here, and I'm trying to respond to all these uh, super chats as well. Or not super chats, but just some of the chats that is going on here as we go live for those that are listening audio wise. Yeah, but I put in a Futurecast. We talked. We both were out and about and talking, and the funny part is that the Grant Brick situation seemed to before that seemed to be kind of trending to the Nebraska Cornhuskers a little bit, right? Like you went up there and we all thought, yeah, this thing maybe kind of may have ran its course a little bit on Oklahoma's side of things. And that was just like we had no inside information on that, but it was just kind of our reading on it. But Parker thought, you know what? I'm going to go check this out one last time, see if we can't get a little bit extra information on where things stand. And bam, you called me. You're like, dude, this thing is so much further along than we thought it was, blah, blah, blah. And so I went ahead and put a Futurecast in at that point. And then you talk to some people around Nebraska and they're like, yeah, they're not feeling good about it. And we really got solidification on that. So now it's a matter of if, not when. When does he want to start talking to the schools that, whether it's Oklahoma, whether it's Nebraska, whether it's K-State, the schools that he's not going to go to. And that, again, dealing with kids, Parker, you're dealing with kids. So got to take that in consideration. They read it harder because at their age, and I think people don't realize this, or they don't take that, maybe they realize it, they don't take it into account. But kids that age take things harder than adults do because adults can compartmentalize things a lot better than teenagers can. So in his mind, he thinks telling that adult it's just going to break their heart. And at the end of the day, that adult's going to go, okay, see you later. We're going to go recruit this other one. And that's not to say that he's not a great player because he's obviously a top 50 player overall, top 100, Rivals 100, has a chance to be a 5-star at the end of the day. But emotionally, kids take it harder, Parker. I mean, we've seen it time and time again. Real quickly, Tim Moore, thank you so much for the $20. Who do we close out, he says, in the 2024 class, and how many total do we take? Now,
it's going to be in the ballpark of 30, and it depends on how you count. It depends on how you count. Because right now, if you get Michael Boganowski tomorrow, that is your 25th scholarship commit. However, you have two guys that are technically PWOs that are scholarship caliber players in Andy Bass and Bergen Kaiser. So, again, it's kind of going to be a wonky year as far as numbers because do you count those highly rated PWOs that could very well be Power 5 scholarship players and had Power 5 scholarship offers, or do you just count the guys that are on scholarship pure and simple? Regardless, it's going to be a huge class and one that I expect to be in the ballpark of 30 total commits.
Totally agree. Some of those preferred walk-ons can be, they're counted online on Rivals on 3, 24/7, all that. They're counted as commits, but at the end of the day, they're NIL, so they're not going to really count against the numbers. As far as who do we think Oklahoma closes out with? I mean, do we really want to talk about it? Like, say the names.
Okay, well, look. Let's go with what we expect based on the Futurecasts right now. We expect that Boganowski is going to be 25.
Yep.
Ricks and EPL are going to be 26 and 27.
Yep.
Reggie Powers has the potential to be 28.
Yep.
Beyond him, you're taking another cornerback, whether that is Devon Jordan or Cameron Campbell or what have you. So that's going to be 29.
He said, "What have you?" instead of saying the name.
Yeah. No, I wasn't going to go there, but
no, yeah.
So you're looking at 29 there. Then the question becomes, okay, so that's what we expect. So we expect at least 28, I would say. Powers pending, potentially 29. Then you have the flips.
Yep.
The potential flips. Because you're going to keep swinging at Winery. You're going to keep swinging at Bryant Wesco. Absolutely going to keep swinging at Dominic McKinley. And, I mean, I'm not...
Probably Terry Bussey.
Yeah, I'm not really counting on that one.
Yeah,
and we've kind of said as much. Like, again, what I was told about that guy and kind of why, I'd never really talked up the potential of a flip after he committed to A&M is because I got it on good authority from a very close source, that situation. That kid's loyal. Like, unless he's got a very good reason to jump ship, once he locks in with any school, this was before he committed. Once he locks in with any school, that's who he's rocking with, and he's not going to change it up. So I don't expect right now that Bussey's going to end up back on the market. But, I mean, dream scenario, you get Wesco, you get McKinley, and you get Winery. That probably results in a casualty or two amongst your class. But in theory, could be as many as 32 guys. Could be. Yeah, and that's not counting Bass and Kaiser.
And yeah, that's what I was about to say. On our site, it could be up to 34, 35. And I wrote that the other day. I said, look, the latter part is probably not going to happen. But because somebody asked that same question, said, how many do you think Oklahoma's going to take in 24? And I said between 28 and 34, 33 or something like that. And I said the latter part, it's probably going to be somewhere in between 28 and 33. But at the end of the day, if they go over and get 35, I wouldn't be shocked. I honestly, and I know you wouldn't, it wouldn't surprise me if they just said, you know what, screw it. We're 12-0, we're hot. Let's go swing and get some dudes to come in that maybe aren't going to sign until February. And there's going to be some dudes this year that are going to hold off and wait, that are early enrollees. That is where it starts to get really interesting. Because that's where you start to see if Oklahoma makes a magical run, and let's say they go play for the national title and lose, just for hypothetical reasons, they're going to go swing the fences at some of those guys that are February signees. They are. They're going to go test the water. They may offer it, get them to come in for a visit, because you have unlimited amounts of official visits. If you're a player, they could take 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 official visits. Now, obviously, Oklahoma only gets 70 total as far as transfers and whatever. And I think they've got 17, 18 left total right now. And that's 4 transfers.
Yeah, so they were on a crunch this time last year for OBs. Yep. That is not the case
really well
this
year.
Around.
Yeah, they did a lot better. They only had 14. So, and that 4 makes it's a big difference in the world of recruiting.
Huge difference. Yeah.
We'll see.
I don't think you didn't have to spend one on Jordan Seaton, which would have been a waste of OV anyway.
Well, it sounds like he may be coming in anyways. So
yeah,
I'll believe it when I see it, just like you. Russell Jenkins says, plug the tailgate. First off, thank you, Russell.
Let's plug the tailgate. Let's
tailgate.
By all means.
Hey, Russell, I don't know what time you're going to be there. I'm going to assume it's going to be around 8 a.m. So if you're there between 8 a.m. and 11 kickoff, go to Jenkins. We are right there where the Walk of Champions is. So you can get your breakfast. You can watch College Game Day. I may bring out an Xbox 360 and let you guys. I have the revamped, the modded version. So it's like the real rosters, all that type of stuff. The modded version, everything's upscale as far as the playoffs, all that type of stuff. And may let y'all hang out and play that for a little bit too, if you would like. We'll see how that goes. But we're going to have a television. We're going to have food. Parker, myself, Jesse, Brian will all be there to talk to you guys for a little bit. So it's a really neat opportunity. Plus, you're right there where the buses, they get off the buses right where our tailgate is. So you're right there, able to high five the players, able to hang out. Not only you get to hang out with us, you get to high five BV, Dylan Gabriel, Jackson Arnold, whoever your favorite player is, Ethan Downs, we're right there. And right across the street, the recruits stand right across the street from where we're at. So you guys get a really fresh look to see who's on campus that day. So come join us, 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. He'll probably be there, I would assume, around, I don't want to speak for you, Russell. He said 8 a.m. So 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. 8 a.m., 11 a.m. Be there, get your breakfast, come hang out with us. It'll be a blast before kickoff on Lindsay Street. Remember, it's right there on Lindsay, right in front of the South little oval walk through in the Switzer Center. So it's right where the placers get up.
Never been part of a tailgate for an 11 a.m. kick. What do you do? Is it bacon and mimosas?
I think it's something like, it's like bacon and eggs and mimosas, sausage.
Oh gosh.
And beer. I'm assuming a lot of people drink beer still. Yeah, there's always beer.
A couple other super chats. Sooner Tiff says Dalton Wood now owns a lawn care business in McAllister. So a little bit of background on Dalton Wood there. And then we had one.
Ronnie Crimson. I got it right in front
Crimson.
of me. Yep.
Ronnie Crimson's first ever super chat. What's more likely? Mule Shoe leaves for the NFL or A&M fires Jimbo? P.S. Sonic does have good food. Ronnie, listen, I appreciate your support. I appreciate the fact that you generally have our backs on just about everything, but you are dead wrong about Sonic's food. Sonic's food.
Their bacon, egg, and cheese toaster is good. That's the only thing I'll usually eat from there. That's it. I will never hate. You know what? I'm never going to hate on any food. Because what if they want to sponsor Sonic, you're good to go. If you want to sponsor OU Insider, come on with it. We'll take it. I'm a business. Hey,
listen. You want to sponsor OU Insider? I will plug your drinks and your ice cream all day. The food, not for me. Not for me.
Parker does not speak for OU Insider, and those are only his personal.
So Ronnie, to answer your question, Ronnie, I
was actually going to ask you that. When you brought up Bussy, I was going to ask you this exact question, not the mule shoe part, but what happens if Jimbo leaves?
If Jimbo got fired, if Jimbo got canned, I think that could rock the boat with Bussy. Like, that could be the one thing that causes him to open things back up. Because you talk to people about Jimbo Fisher, he's got some sort of recruit switch where, as much as everybody likes to make fun of the things he says and does at press conferences in front of the media, apparently there's a whole different side to that dude that only recruits see. And apparently he's a really good salesman. And a lot of people that sit down across from him in his office, they end up really respecting the dude. So, I mean, they say what you will. I look,
if you're an OU fan, do you want him fired? Do you want him fired if you're an OU fan, or do you want him to keep?
Oh, like, okay,
I think you want him to stay. Keep running that program to the ground.
Okay, but here's the thing: realistically, what changes at Texas A&M if somebody else is the coach?
You want me to tell you what I heard? You want me to tell you what I heard the other day?
Sure. Go ahead.
48 hours. Well, I heard it again 48 hours ago, but I heard it earlier this summer, and this person that told me had heard it this summer as well, and they kind of brought it up to me the other day, and it was that there is some buzz that if West Virginia starts to struggle, obviously they're probably going to fire Coach Brown, and they have the money to put aside to buy out Jimbo Fisher's contract and bring him to West Virginia, where he has a home already, where he's originally from, and where a lot of his family's already at. I believe his nephew's already coaching back there at West Virginia. So there is some buzz there as far as the replacement for one Jimbo Fisher. A couple of names have been thrown out there. Josh Heupel was one of them, which I think would be interesting and a really good fit, to be honest. You want to know what the funniest name I heard was? Lane Kiffin. And that would be awesome.
I actually would love, like, that might be a match made in heaven for A&M.
I said the same thing. I was like, what? But I could totally see that. And I think it would work. I think it would be an absolute nightmare for people. to be honest.
That might be the best case scenario for A&M. Like, all things considered, I don't know that you could find somebody better for that job than Lane Kiffin. But I think if you're looking at this from a selfish perspective as an OU fan, and you just want chaos down in College Station because you want to be able to capitalize on the carnage and flip some of their recruits, then yeah, you want Jimbo fired.
Yeah.
Any way you slice it right now, you look at A&M's schedule, I am not convinced they win more than 7 games, especially down to a backup quarterback in Max Johnson. And they got South Carolina next weekend coming off a bye. That'll be a tone setter because they got a couple cupcakes down the road. Mississippi State should be a win. Abilene Christian is obviously a win.
Mm-hmm.
South Carolina could be what let me put it to you this way. If Jimbo Fisher gets fired, a loss to South Carolina will be the beginning of the end, the official beginning of the end, where it's not just people talking on social media anymore. It's credible reporters and people who are in the know coming out and saying Jimbo's on real thin ice.
So there's people in the chat obviously saying, look, Bama, I guess Kiffin's waiting for Saban to retire to go be the replacement at Bama, which I could see that. I just don't know that would fit as far as how his personality is, but whatever. What about Mike Elko?
The former DC there?
Yeah. Duke head coach.
I love Mike Elko. My question is he the right guy for A&M? Because
he would keep all those D, because he was the one that recruited all the D linemen.
Now that is true. That is true. I think that's where you got to weigh short-term versus long-term, though. Short-term gain, maybe a long-term loss, because I love Mike Elko's fit at Duke. And I hope Duke locks him up with a long-term extension, because I do think he is a hand-in-glove fit for that job. A&M, man,
just said the same thing I just said. He said Elko too.
You kind of got to be a certain type. And I think Lane Kiffin is that type. I don't think Mike Elko is that type.
Would Lincoln Riley go back to Texas to coach at A&M, be the head coach at A&M?
Well, now. Yeah.
That would be a fit too. It would be a fit in heaven.
And here's the thing. You know that whenever A&M decides to move on from Jimbo, because it is an inevitability. It's just a matter of time before they do. Whenever that happens, the stakeholders down in College Station are not going to have any qualms about throwing out however much money is necessary to bring in their next head coach. So if you want to pay Lincoln Riley $15 million a year, guess what? Those folks at A&M will make it happen.
Yep. What? So on that same note, and this is such a like, we've hit it, like our numbers are going up the second we started talking about it, and people everybody loves to talk about A&M and their coaching situation. I think in general everybody loves to talk about chaos in the coaching carousel. I think that is probably one of the highest, because Oklahoma, you don't have to worry about it. You're set. And essentially, I feel like if Brent Venables ever leaves, your next head coach is probably Jeff Lebby, just in my opinion, at this point. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I'm wrong. But he's made to be a head coach, number one. He's an excellent recruiter, and everybody on the staff loves Jeff Lebby. Do you not agree with that?
No, I 100% agree with that.
Yeah. So there's really not a lot of like drama that's going to happen if BV ever decides to hang it up. No matter if he's out, Levy's out coaching somewhere else, and he's somewhat successful, he's probably your next head coach.
Well, and whoever is the AD at that point, because I don't expect that it's going to be Joe C by that point in time when BV is ready to hang it up. I think Joe C hangs it up before BV. But whoever is the AD at that point, they're going to have enough guidance from Joe C and people who have been around Oklahoma.
Correct.
And I do expect the AD at that point to be somebody that has been around Oklahoma and has a frame of reference for that type of thing, they're not going to make the same mistake that they made with Lincoln Riley in that.
Real quick, people are saying that we're saying BV is going to leave in a few years. No, we're
Yeah,
not
no,
saying
no, no,
that.
no.
No, nobody's saying that. Are you kidding me? No, that dude's going to be here for the next decade.
Yeah.
Nobody,
But
no, come on now. Come on.
whenever he hangs it up, like you're not gonna mess around. You're gonna go find your next Brent Venables, which is to say, you're gonna go find somebody who is more than qualified, has a resume, has a track record, has a championship pedigree, and is going to be loyal to your university. Because you had that in Bob Stoops, you have that in Brent Venables, you would have that in Jeff Lebby. There is one guy in the middle of all of it that you did not have that with, and look what happened.
Yep. He had the background. I think the other guy, and I know fans are gonna like, no, the other guy that's out there that would be very loyal would probably be Josh Heupel. So, but I don't know that I could see that taking place with the background route. And I think as time goes on, a lot heals. And if he continues to be successful at Tennessee, then maybe. But what about at A&M, Dan Lanning?
Again, I will say the exact same thing with regard to Dan Lanning. It's basically every other SEC job for which his name has been thrown out. I think it makes sense. I think he would be a tremendous hire. I think there's zero chance Oregon would let themselves get outbid.
Yeah. There's some people saying Seth Luttrell would be, it's Russell Jenkins. Yeah, he would be, but I think he's your next OC at OU. There's a reason why he was brought in case Lebby leaves. I think I think he's next in line as a play caller for Oklahoma. Do you not agree with that?
I would agree right now.
Yep.
Yeah,
I agree too. Thanks. That's why I said it. Very smart guy. Very smart guy. All right. Let's talk about some other recruiting tidbits this weekend. Oklahoma obviously is hosting several recruits. We know of Reggie Powers coming in, and there's some other names throughout the week that you're going to start seeing that will start popping up, and you'll be like, very interesting. Eddie Pierre-Louis is going to be in town. Trying to think who there's a potential for 5-star Jonah Williams. He's deciding between going to Ohio State, Penn State. If I'm him, I go to Ohio State, Penn State. That's just me. But he's deciding between Ohio State, Penn State, and Oklahoma UCF. Trying to think who else will be in town that we know of. Parker, help me out here. The main obviously Michael Fasusi will be in town, the 5-star offensive lineman from Louisville. He'll be in town. So, I mean, there's already a pretty good contingent of elite guys, and I think even with the 11 a.m. kickoff, I think that there's additions to be made, if you will. Would you agree with that?
I would. And there is obviously Reggie Powers is coming in for his official visit, and
it's unofficial. It's unofficial.
It is unofficial.
I got told Monday night. I got told that it was going to be unofficial because it sounds like they're trying to push him and Cameron Campbell to both come in for their officials for West Virginia on, I think it's like November 11th or 2nd or what, I can't remember. But West Virginia game is when they're trying to do the actual officials for both those two guys because of the 11 a.m. kickoff. But Powers will still be coming in, I'm told, for unofficial visit. I was told that. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. That's
what if West Virginia is another 11 a.m. kick?
Oh, it's probably going to be if they lose here again, time or two. That would suck. Yeah, I think if you're Oklahoma, you're like, dude, put us on FS1. We'll take a 6 p.m. kick. We don't care. But, the networks are going to want that Oklahoma logo on their national whatever. So, but would it be a big noon kickoff? Like, would you do that? I guess ESPN could take it at 11 a.m., but I think 2:30 would be the best. I think that's the best of both worlds if you're Oklahoma. And it's crazy how 3.5 hours makes such a stark difference, but it does. It's a massive difference in just logistics. let's do percentage game
Okay.
before we close this out. Real quickly. Percentage that OU can flip Bryant Wesco. I'm going to say 35, 40%.
35?
Yeah.
I'll go a little bit higher. I'll honestly
Would.
say I'm not going to quite go 50. I'll say 45 because
Okay.
Clemson's offense right now has given absolutely nobody anything to be optimistic or hopeful about. I mean, that has been a bad offensive team this year. So if you're Bryant Wesco and you're looking at this as a business decision and you are mindful of what Emmett Jones has done with his wideouts at Oklahoma thus far this season, and you're taking a look at the product that Clemson has churned out and you are understandably unimpressed, we've talked about it, Brandon, and I feel as though I've said these exact words. If I haven't, I'll go ahead and say them. If Bryant Wesco flips, I would expect that Oklahoma would be the school that flips him because
agreed.
Not only does he have the immense familiarity with the campus, but he's got the relationship with Emmett Jones. Emmett Jones is Emmett Jones. And he's real tight with Michael Hawkins as well. And Michael Hawkins has been in his ear about what Oklahoma is doing right now and what Oklahoma will do once he is the quarterback of the future. So I am cautiously optimistic about Oklahoma's chances down the stretch if Clemson continues to play this way offensively, because they could turn things completely on their head over the last 6 games of the season, and maybe this conversation is moot, and that's fair. Like Garrett Riley, he's got enough of a track record to where you're willing to acknowledge, okay, that's a possibility. It may just be early season doldrums for Clemson. They may get this thing on track, but if they continue to struggle, don't get it twisted. Bryant Wesco is going to take another look around at the very least, and Oklahoma will be a major player.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. I think this weekend looms large for Clemson with several recruits. Like I talked to somebody today and they brought up Sammy Brown to me again. And this person has plenty of connections. And they're like, yeah, the Sammy Brown in Oklahoma is not wouldn't be overly shocking. And I was like, that sounds really stupid, but it doesn't at the same time. Like, I can't see it happening. I think I'd give it 5-10% at most. But at the same time, the fact that that's even being brought up to me shows you some of the people out in that region, just where they're at with the Clemson program at this point. Like there's some people that are scared that this thing's heading back down that path. I just don't know that I can buy into. I buy into Wesco. I just don't like. The one thing I'll say about Sammy Brown is, guess what? His uncle is the cheer coach there,
and he's
not leaving. He's not.
And
leaving.
There's a very natural difference between the situation with Brown and the situation with Wesco. And it's not just
correct,
and it's not just a cheer coach connection, right? Sammy Brown's an hour and a half away. Bryant Wesco is half the country away, and committed after one official visit. Shut it all down. So if you had that much blind faith in a coach and in a program, and your faith has not come close to being rewarded over the first half of the season that you've gotten the chance to witness as a senior in high school, then yeah, I mean, that combined with the fact that you're going to have to move 1,000 miles to go to school at Clemson, that'll prompt you to do some soul searching. Yeah, I would say.
No doubt. I'm not going to make you do the percentage on Winery. I'll just do it, and I'll just say 35%, 40%. So on that flip, and I will do the talking on why to leave you completely out of this.
Because,
and they can come after me. Come after me, Missouri fans. I want it. I want all the smoke. I want it all.
It's Peyton Bowen all over again, man. Like in so many ways.
The Peyton Bowen, you weren't even. I was you in the Peyton Bowen
exactly,
deal, and they still came after you.
Exactly. Like, and look, that's not to say you get a dramatic double flip on side. Like, I'm I'm not making that comparison for anything more than it's
Uh,
worth right now. I'm just saying the parallels between how those recruitments have played out, or how Bowen's recruitment played out, and how Nwaneri's recruitment has played out through mid-October, there are a lot of them. There are a lot of parallels.
it's so weird because you were the innocent bystander in the Peyton Bowen deal, and I was the one that's like, yeah, I'm hearing he's going to flip to Oklahoma, and I kept saying it and saying it and saying it, and I even said it to the point where I expected it to happen, and yet Notre Dame fans came directly after you the whole process, and it was just I was like, wow.
I don't
You
know
talk
what it is
about
about you, Brandon. Somehow you're
I'm
just
the nice
better at
guy. I'm the
evading
nice
the
guy.
internet controversy than I am.
I am the nice guy. Um, but anyways, so on the way, I'll go 40% on one area, and this is why. Look, they're still talking. Everybody in the world knows Oklahoma, and what he's told everybody this. He has not shied away from that. If he ever shows up in Norman, that's where I'll up the percentages. Do I think he shows up in Norman before the season's over? Yes. Can I guarantee that? No. But it does feel like he's going to quietly just kind of show up one day. Nobody's going to report about it. Nobody's going to say anything about it. And bam, he's going to be there. And everything's going to blow up. And he's, like you said, he's well aware of that aspect. Like,
Yeah.
if he shows up in Norman, Twitter's going to break.
Yeah. And you got to consider that with these 5 stars in particular, they understand what they are. They are not naive. And so if Dominic McKinley ends up in Norman at some point, if Williams Nwaneri ends up in Norman at some point, if Ryan Wesco ends up in Norman at some point, if any of those 3 decide to visit, trust me, it's not going to get blasted out on social media in the days leading up to the visit. It's just going to kind of happen. And there might be some quiet rumblings, rumors beforehand, but that'll be it. Because again, anytime a 5-star visits another school other than the one that they're committed to, it's an all-out circus. Thank the Lord that you and I, Brandon, do not have to do any more than observe the Jeremiah Smith recruitment, because that is a prime example of a recruitment that is a circus. And it's because he's been committed to one school for, a year plus now, but he just keeps taking visits. And every single time he takes visits, he'll give quotes about how much he likes and respects whatever school he's visiting. He'll post the pictures, and like, he can operate that way because in my mind, he is very clearly the best player in the 2024 class. Not everybody is going to operate that way, thankfully.
Who do you think's the best player in 24? I'm sorry.
Jeremiah Smith.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, he has been his recruitment has been. The weird part is he liked Oklahoma there for a while. But obviously, it was under Muleshoe's reign. He had Oklahoma way up there because he was super tight with Brandon Ennis. So it's funny how the recruiting, as far as and I'm not saying that because I think Emmett Jones is recruiting at an elite level at wide receiver, but it's funny how easy it was for Muleshoe and his staff to really recruit quarterbacks, wide receivers, offensive linemen, running backs, tight ends, and how difficult it was on the defensive side, where BV comes in and they're good at both because he coaches a balanced team. He's obviously a defensive guy, but he strictly says, I want to have an elite offense. At no point in time have you ever heard Muleshoe come out and say, and when he was at Oklahoma, I want to have an elite defense. Like, those words never came out of his mouth. So, and if they did, I think people just glossed over him, like myself. So anyways, what about, we did Wesco. Let's do last one, Dominic McKinley, and let's close it out. What about McKinley?
20%.
20. I'm with you on that, unless just say I'll say 20% as of today. I'm not going to sit there and tell you that I would stick to that percentage.
If Jimbo gets fired, all bets are off, right? Like,
yeah, I'm not even talking about that. I think if Oklahoma continues to do what they're doing and A&M goes and they tank against South Carolina, and then and let's say Jimbo hasn't been fired, and then they lose to LSU or whatever, you got problems. And you're looking at a 7-5, 6-6 season, and you're staring down that barrel again. And at some point, the recruits are going to look at that program and go, they're selling a stale bag of goods, like just rotten milk, essentially. We're not buying it anymore. Like the goodbye date was back in 2021, and for some odd, people keep drinking the milk for some odd reason, even if it's sour, rotten, curdling, like they're still drinking it. And at some point, that's got to stop. It has to stop, Parker. And you would think if they lose to South Carolina, that would be that stopping point. But we've been saying that for 2 years now. So who knows? Who knows? All right. That's going to do it for this version of the OU Insider Under the Visor Sooners YouTube Live. If you're not a member of OU Insider, go. Sign up. We're giving away 4 members are getting a pair of tickets to the UCF game. And you can come hang out with us at the tailgate. You can do whatever you need to do. It'll be a blast. But we're only giving away to OU Insider members. So if you go sign up right now, you throw your name in the hat, you've got a chance to win. And that's not going to be all. We're going to give away all the other home games. We're going to give, if OU goes and plays in the Big 12 title game, we'll give away 2 or 4 tickets to those as well. Like we are going to help you because you help us. It's our way of giving back. But to do that, you've got to go to OU Insider. You got to sign up. It's $9.95 a month. It's $99.95 for the whole year. And if you get the whole year, guess what? It gets you all the way through half of the SEC season. That means both national. That means the national title game potentially this year, the playoffs, the Big 12 title game. You get all the recruiting. You get to be a part of the flips. You'll be in the know of all the team stuff, all the insider recruiting information, heading up to both national signing days, heading into all the transfer portal stuff, heading into the coaching carousels and all that. Who knows what's going to happen there? Obviously, BB is going to be around, but who knows? Will other staffers go take jobs? Whatever. We don't know at this point, but at some point, when we get inside information, it goes right there on that VIP board, and you get to be in the know before everybody else on OUinsider.com. You get the spring game, you get all the junior days, you get the champion barbecue, the party in the palace, you get the fall camp, and then roll around half of the SEC season. If you sign up for a year right now, $99.95, or you can just try us out for a month, $9.95 a month. It's real simple. It's really fun. Thousands and thousands and thousands of members are already on OU Insider. They're commenting daily. We got thousands of comments, probably 30, 40 different topics started every day with, 20, 30, 40 different comments all over, plus our pin notes. It's awesome. It's fun. And we're there talking to you guys, Parker, myself, Jesse, Brian. We answer all your questions. I got a chat going right now. Going to answer all those questions today. Plus, you start a thread, we jump into those conversations all the time and talk to you guys. It's fun. It's awesome. Also, if you're going to the game this Saturday, go to Jenkins Street or Lindsay Street, excuse me, go to Lindsay Street and meet us. We'll be right there, right where they do the drop off for the Walk of Champions, right there in front of the Switzer Center. We'll be right there with our tailgate. Big OU Insider banner on the tailgate. All kinds of fun. There'll be food. There'll be television. There'll be community. You'll get to meet Parker, myself, Jesse, Brian. Ask us questions you want to ask that you can't get answered on the board. Maybe we'll answer them there. You never know. But we would love to meet all you Sooners fans. So come join us there on Lindsay Street at our tailgate. Brought to you by our man Russell Jenkins, helping us out with that. You can't thank you enough, man. Thank you so much, Russell. Again, subscribe to this YouTube channel. Give us 5 stars on whatever platform you listen to the podcast. And again, thank you guys so much for being OU Insider followers, watchers, VIP members, whatever. We do this because of you. You make our job possible, and we are blessed because of that. All right, that's going to do it for this version of the OU Insider Under the Visor YouTube Live. From my man Parker Thune, from my man Spencer's Foresight. My name is Brandon Drum. You guys have a blessed day.